Hi, my name is Kenny T. I've just walked up on my podcast today in this beautiful Toyota Fortuner. It's a GD6 and it's a 2021 model. Guess what? If you're looking to buy a motor vehicle like this one, you need to get in touch with Jelumo Zambia because you know what? They give you flexible payment plans. There's nowhere else for you to go but Jelumo. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to go and shoot the podcast. Let's go. Hi, so on my moment of the week this week, I've decided to take a trip to Botswana, Gaborone. So you and I will go and explore Gaborone together. Let's go. Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Kenny T One-on-One podcast. Remember to always like, share and subscribe. You need to hit that bell so that every single time we upload a new episode, you are notified and you don't miss out on a thing. Today's show, we're doing something very different. We've tapped into an industry that we've never tapped into from the time we started. It's the music industry, and today we're privileged and honored to host the superstar, Roberto. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's been a while. I haven't seen you in quite a bit.
Yeah, it's been a bit, eh?
What's been happening?
I had lots of work and just trying to do one or two things. But yeah, so far so good. The year's been impressive and looking forward to it.
You've been quite busy.
Very busy.
Pushing the new album?
Yeah, so we just released the album Born to Win. And currently just working on a number of music videos because 2025 we decided let's kind of like just release a couple of music videos. So basically that's what we're trying to do.
Great. So, Roberto, let's start from your early life.
Yeah.
I remember you from as a radio presenter.
Yeah.
You know, I never connected for the longest time that you and Ozzy were brothers and all of that. But tell me, where did you grow up from? Where were you born? And where were you born? And, you know, tell me about your early life.
So I was born in Chipata and pretty much grew up there. I was born on the 17th of Chipata at Chipata General Hospital. And I can't remember the year. I'm not so sure about the year, but I know the date and the month. Okay. 17th December. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I've forgotten.
Okay.
So yeah, I pretty much grew up there. And then I started moving around from Chipata. Came to Lusaka. I was at Chibelo. Then went back to Chipata. Grade 5, I did my grade 5 in Kabwe. I was at Nimtree. Then went back to Chipata to write my grade 7. And then went to Kabwe to do my grade 8, my grade 9, and grade 10. Then grade 11, I moved to South Africa to do my grade 11 and my grade 12. Then my tertiary, everything from there. But I just have one simple request. Talking about South Africa. So I have a flight to catch. Okay. And I couldn't miss the show for anything. So as you can see, my hair is not properly done. So I came with my barber man. And I need your permission if whilst we're doing this, he can actually cut my hair. Because from here, I'm heading straight to the airport.
Cooper, DOP, can they cut his hair?
Is that okay?
Okay, so it's a go. We can,
good?
as long as it doesn't, we carry on with the interview.
No.
Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So
all right, great.
I moved with my barber man.
So why have I always thought that you've lived all your life in Kabwe?
I think maybe because majority of the times in my older years, I'd spent it in Kabwe. So it's almost like that plays a significant role as in that's where I'm from. So for me, I represent, every town that I've lived in. So I represent Lusaka, I represent Kabwe, I represent Chipata. And to some extent, you'd say you'd also represent Johannesburg because I spent quite an amount of time there. But I was born in Chipata and then grew up in all these towns, spent quite some time in Kabwe.
How would you describe your childhood growing up? Did you have everything you ever wanted? Did you have it easy when you're growing up?
I didn't have it easy, and that's the thing, Before, well, I got to know about this later on. I never really had like my dad present in my life. So when we're growing up, it was pretty much just myself and mom, my brothers and my sisters. So it wasn't a very easy lifestyle to say, and it was quite harsh at times. There were days when we really didn't have anything. You know, would actually go and start asking for food from the neighbors. Should I take off the glasses? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so would go and ask for, you know, food from neighbors, this and that, sugar. So it wasn't really like a really sweet upbringing as per se, but I do know that my mom did everything she could to just make sure that, you know, we were, you know, passing every day with something, you know, in as much as it was really tough and rough for her, but yeah, we managed to survive.
Great. So how many were you in the family?
So there were 9 of us.
Okay.
I'm the last born, and 5 passed away. So there are only the 4 of us remaining now. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. I'm
So
the last.
all of you being raised in one home by your mom?
Yeah.
It was
It was quite rough.
great. So when you're growing up, did you actually think you'd venture out into radio and eventually music?
No, like music.
What
yeah.
were you aspiring to be?
So the thing is, you know, like it's very difficult for me to pinpoint and say this is when I wanted to be an artist, because whilst I was growing up, the only thing that was pretty much dominant in our home was music, because my mom was very active singer, not a professional singer, but you know, she would sing and make us sing whenever there's something going on. She would always tell us, just sing this and that. So at some point I used to entertain guests at home. So when we have visitors come over, she would make sure, go and bath. And then I'll dress up in my best outfits. Yeah, you know, so you bath and then you start singing for the guests. I used to sing those Jim Reeves songs. Yeah, so that's how it was. So I grew up pretty much loving music. Then I remember one of my cousins made a banjo using those maoki. I don't know if you remember, there was a time when cooking oil used to be distributed in these like metallic oki.
Yeah, I remember
casings.
those.
Yes.
Then
so
watenga kaplanga bafaka paja.
correct, not matwine. Yes, so he made a banjo for me, and that was like my first musical present. So yeah, that's pretty much like how, you know, my music background started, because then even at a tender age I loved music so much. But radio, it was not until there's a friend of mine from Kabwe, her name is Muchimbazulu, and she was like, she's the first person who said, you know, you've got a very good voice and you should try radio. But then I didn't take it serious. Then when I was doing an interview on Hot FM, and Hope was like, you know what, you've got a very good voice. Like, you know what, I'm tired of hearing this. Maybe let me give it a try.
Give it a shot,
So yeah, that's how it all started.
Great. So
Yeah.
how was your radio experience? Because I listened to you a number of times on radio, and I think you did a pretty good job. How was that side of life?
It was very interesting because it made me realize there's more to life than what, you know, actually happens for a lot of people. And just getting to be able to do your research and know more about world affairs, you know, current affairs and that sort of thing, it kind of like just gave me a very good perspective of how life is, you know, out there for different people. Because there will be times when I'll be in town and certain people want to talk to me about what's going on at their workplaces and that sort of thing. And for me, then I would look at it as, this is a source of information. This is first-hand information. So you'd be on radio and you're breaking news about something that's happening. Then eventually you find the news team says, we heard you talking about this. Can we follow it up? So it was very interesting for me to look at my persona on radio and see how impactful it was to the people, because then everything you say on radio, people take it as just a solid truth.
Absolutely.
You know, so you then realize how cardinal and important it is for you to be factual and truthful in what you're disseminating to the public.
Okay, so I want to take you, you know, to the time you went to Johannesburg, South Africa.
Yeah.
What did you go there for?
School. I went there for school.
What did you study?
I was doing my grade 11, my grade 12, and then I got into college. I was doing computer programming. And then whilst I was still in high school as well, I'd loved going to a place called Sasani Studios. You know, I'd gone to Sasani Studios where I passionately fell in love with film. So there's a lady there that used to produce a show called Igoli.
I remember.
So yeah, so I used to sit in studio as I watch the guys act and that sort of thing. So she's the first person that told me to say, okay, you know, you could be a scriptwriter, you can do this and that. And that's how I fell in love with film, just from, you know, shooting to script writing, directing and producing and that sort of thing. So whilst I was in school, I would also like attend these classes that they would have where, you know, they'll be teaching people on how certain technicalities or technical attributes of being a film creator, you know, and that sort of thing. So I fell in love with film, and to this day I say if I gave up on music, my next passion would be film, 100%. Yeah.
Great. Interesting. So you were in Johannesburg for how many years? 10 years?
9 years.
9 years?
Yeah.
Okay, what prompted you to return? Because
my sister passed away. So after my sister passed away, my mom was just really not for the idea of us staying there. And at that point, that's when my career was also blossoming.
Your sister passed away in Johannesburg?
Yes, in Johannesburg.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that point, that's when my career was just like really starting to take off. You know, we would have these interviews on radio and TV and that sort of thing. So yeah, I had to come back here and start from scratch. So it was really tough for me to move from an industry where I had built such a great connection with people and then come to Zambia. So one of the major hindrances for me at that point was the fact that I was singing in English, because of course in South Africa I couldn't sing in Nyanja. Yeah. So I was singing in English there, and then I came here and I still came with the music that I had. But I found the scenario was very different. You know, your chameleons were buzzing, Hamovas, Taitus, Aussie, and all these guys were singing in Nyanja, you know, Bemba. So I had to adapt. And the first person that just told me outrightly and said, big man, I think you need to change, it was B-Flow. At that point, I was managing B-Flow. He was like the first artist I managed.
Oh.
Yeah. So
great.
So he's the one who was just like, nah, just change. Start singing in Nyanja. So yeah, that's how I switched. So it was all thanks to B-Flow.
So your relationship and friendship with B-Flow goes back to when?
Way back. I've known B-Flow since he was in primary, because I think he was in primary and I think I was in grade 8 or grade 9 in Kabwe. And because his uncle was best friends with my elder brother, my late elder brother. So his uncle used to spend a lot of time at our home, and then they used to play basketball together. Okay. So when they're going to play basketball, all of us would follow, and B-Flow would be part of, you know, the guys walking to Kabwe Cats to go and watch basketball. So I've known B-Flow for a very, very, very long time. Yeah.
So did you write some of his music, or you just managed him?
Well, B-Flow has always been such a creative individual. He's always been able to write his own content. So even the time that I was meeting him to discuss music as per se, he already had content. So I remember we were discussing which studio he wanted to go and record his first song, and he was so in love with TK Romaside's production. Yeah. So that's how come, if you notice, I think one of the first B-Flow songs were produced by TK, because he really loved TK's music. So during our discussions, we talked about which studio he wanted to go and record his music. So he went and recorded, I think one of the first songs was Mpum Pum Pu, and yeah, we printed a couple of CDs, distributed, and yeah, it was like the birth for B-Flow. So
I'm trying to understand this. So did you go to South Africa after your DJing career, your radio presenter career? Or was it before?
No. Oh, good. So, we're good? Okay.
Yeah.
So grade 8, grade 9, I was a DJ. I used to DJ at a club in Kabwe called K's. So I was in grade 8 and I was a DJ. So that's like club DJ, not radio as per se. Yeah. So I used to do that because I wanted to raise money so then I can go and record it. Music studios, yeah. So I did it on a voluntary basis for a very long time. And then grade 11, I had to move to South Africa. Then came back. So what a lot of people actually confuse is they think I started as a radio presenter and then switched into music.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So it started with music, and then whilst I was on radio being interviewed, that's where the idea came from. I said, why don't you try radio? Yeah. So this is like 4 songs into my career. So that's how I started juggling music and radio.
Why did you guys keep it a secret? The fact that you and Ozzy were brothers.
we never kept it a secret.
How did we not know?
It was pretty much there, you know, like for everybody to know. And for me, the thing, a lot of people think that being Oz's brother meant I had the easy way out. It was actually difficult because then every time people saw me, they're just like, he's just Oz's brother, you know? So they never really gave me a chance to be who I wanted to be and that sort of thing. So I had to work my way to where I am today. So even convincing people, I had to do it by myself. So I took like some of my songs to radio. A couple of radio stations didn't want to play my music. I remember, I'll not mention his name, but today we're very good friends. He told me when I gave him the CD for the song Operator, and he said, if this song is trash, never call me and I don't ever want to see you again. I remember we're giving him the CD, we're in a car park, and he was like, don't ever waste my time if this song is not nice.
I'd like to know who this dude is.
Oh, you know him very well. He's not on radio anymore, but you guys worked at the same station at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'll just say that.
Yeah. So that was your first project?
No. This was like my fourth song that I was releasing. So Operator was like my fourth release, and it just so happened to have been the song that now like everybody knew like, oh, okay, so who's this guy? So even that, it was really a hassle. Certain radio stations, of course, didn't want to play my music because it's like, it's just Oz's young brother. Yeah. So it also prompted me to now start mentioning my name in the song because everybody just used to say, this is Oz's young brother.
Yeah, because I hear my name is Roberto. Is that where it comes from?
Yeah. So there are two reasons why I say my name is Roberto. One, there were certain artists that used to perform my songs. So the first lineage of songs that I'd released, they didn't have the whole my name is Roberto. So then I heard that artists used to perform my songs. And then also because people just did not want to address me as Roberto. They always used to say, Oz's young brother. So I had to like make a stance, and I said, no.
Your own identity.
You guys need to know who I am.
Yeah. No, I've got a couple of relatives that will come to me and tell me every time someone knows that I'm related to you, they forget about me and they say, oh, Kenny T had a bunch.
That's
like, hey, what about me?
That's the thing.
Yeah. Great. But I know that while you're in South Africa, did you record something from the Boom Shaka Studios? I think they had a studio in there.
Yes,
Can we talk about that? How was your experience?
I actually recorded my first singles from Junior Sokela's studio. It was in town. And that's where I recorded my first 4, if not 5 songs. So what I used to do is, when my brother-in-law goes for work, I would open his bedroom, install this software called Cakewalk. Then I start making beats. I would spend the whole day in his bedroom making beats. By 16 hours, I delete the software, and then I export the beats onto cassette, and then I would now start rehearsing. So what I went with to the studio was a cassette with instrumentals. I think about 8 different instrumentals. So when I sang for the guys, I said, okay, maybe record these songs. So when I recorded the songs, the very same day, the same studio, they had an artist that was coming up and was an R&B artist. So they bought 3 songs that I recorded that day. Then I kept the rest. Yeah.
Interesting. So who was your greatest inspiration from a music standpoint? Was it your brother or somebody else?
I would say Asha, because I was a rapper initially. Then there was a project that my brother was working on, and they wanted someone to sing on it. So I felt, this is the only opportunity that I have to come out, emerge as an artist. So I was like, let me sing. And my singing was horrible. It was terrible. So I took it personal, and I was just like, nah, I need to prove these guys wrong. So I went for 1 whole week just rehearsing, practicing. I had a sore throat from hell. And I practiced on 1 song that entire week. It's a song by Asha called My Way. So, Do you like sing my way? Yeah, that's a song that transitioned me from being a rapper to a singer. And so to date, I still give credit to Asha as one of my greatest inspirations when it comes to singing.
Okay. Yeah. Locally, any inspiration when you're growing up?
Myself.
Oh, great.
I am my biggest inspiration.
So when did you realize that this music business you're getting into started making sense? At what point in your career?
When a young DJ working at East Point called DJ Cosmo called me whilst I was sleeping and said, bro, where are you? Said, I'm at home, I'm sleeping. Said, come here. So I used to stay in Kawata, and I walked from the house to Breakpoint, and I performed that day for my first ever 1 million kwacha back then, which is equivalent to what? 1,000 kwacha? Yeah. So the first amount of money I ever made was then 1 million kwacha, which is equivalent to like 1,000 kwacha. I think. Is it 1,000 or 10,000? Something like that. Yeah. Then I was like, okay, so I can actually make money off this. And that's how I really started pressing hard. So at that point, I realized this is actually a very lucrative business. You know, because at that point, before all that, it was all passion. You know, you're just doing it out of passion. But then you realize, okay, I can actually make money off this. And so now you start investing a little more in the craft, you know, from image to sound and that sort of thing. So at that point, everything started changing. And I still give credit to DJ Cosmo today because he's the first person that hired me and I got paid. I was literally sleeping. And he called me and said, come, the artist that was supposed to come and perform has not shown up, so here's your chance. So he gave me my first shot and I got paid for it. So yeah, big up to DJ Cosmo. Before he started singing, he was a DJ. Yeah. So yeah.
It's very interesting because for people like myself, you know, I remember hearing you on radio, and then the next thing you're singing. So you see, hearing the story of the musical side of things, it actually makes sense now, because I was thinking, this guy just woke up and said, I'm going to start singing, and then there he is singing.
No, there's a whole history to it, you know, like how it all started, how from school, a friend of mine had a church keyboard laying around in the garage, and would go there and would just, you know, these keyboards have preset beats and everything else. So yeah, we just sing or rap to those preset beats on the keyboard. So it started from there, and then radio came years later. So,
are you proficient with any musical instrument?
I'm not a professional keyboard player, but I make majority of the music on a MIDI controller, which a lot of people would still also refer to as a keyboard. I've tried my hands on the guitar. I'm getting there. Drums as well. I think I'm getting there. But yeah, keyboard-wise, yes, I can make my own music and write my own music, record myself, mix myself, master, release, everything.
Everything. Yeah?
Yep.
Great. Now tell me, which song really gave you the biggest breakthrough?
So I would say they come in phases. Yeah. So Operator opened the doors for me to the Zambian market, and then I would say Save Our Love and Akasuwa turned me into a commercial artist, and then Love You More turned me into a more profound international artist. Then Good Woman opened the doors for me in the international market. A lot of people think it's Amarula, but it's actually Good Woman. So why I'm saying Good Woman is, you may remember during Big Brother days, Sulu was a huge fan of Good Woman. So he would always request for, Big Brother, play Roberto, Good Woman. So the song kept playing, and then Delish and Maria Napembe from Namibia equally fell in love with the song. So whenever my music comes on, they would actually mention my name. And if you may remember, Big Brother was such a big hit then. Everybody was watching it from different countries. So that pretty much opened doors for me in all these other countries, East Africa and the likes. Then when Amarula was released, it was just like, all right, this guy is here to stay. So that kind of like just now took it to the next level.
So the reason I actually asked the question in that way, because I could have easily said, was Amarula your biggest hit, was your biggest
I would say it's my biggest global hit.
Okay.
Yes, it's my biggest global hit because for me to even travel to places like Cyprus or Turkey or Finland, Mauritius, all these places and countries that I've been to, it's because of Amarula. So that was like my biggest global hit. Biggest to date. So then comes African Woman.
So I got a chance to be part of the 500 young African leaders that were given an opportunity to go to the US to go and study.
Right.
And I remember one time at uni, after dinner on a Friday, we go and play some pool at the club at the university.
Yeah.
Your song was on repeat.
That song is...
You don't know how it made me feel, you know? They were listening to Amarula, and then I asked one or two people. Some guys were saying, "Oh, it's from Nigeria." I said, "No, this is not from Nigeria. It's from my country." You know. So Amarula, I think was a very impressive song as well. But from your perspective, you know better. Good Woman was actually bigger.
Yeah, Good Woman kind of like just set the tone. But by the way, is there any other Zambian song that's bigger than Amarula?
I don't know. Is there?
Is there?
Yes.
Kupa. Which one?
Oh
yeah, Mampi's Sweetie Lily
is also quite big.
Very big.
Statistics, Mwape has the biggest song in that.
The Sweetie Lily song?
Yes. Mwape has got like very good numbers out of this country. If you follow even some of the events that she's had out of this country, you'd be amazed at how big Mwape is. Not forgetting K-Figo as well. So K-Figo, Mampi, myself, I think there was a time when Zambian music was just operating on steroid mode, and these songs from these three artists kind of like just really just took things to a whole new level.
Roberto, I want to ask you a question, and this is in relation to two songs, which were your biggest songs, that play an important role to being who you are today. Good Woman and Amarula. What was your inspiration behind Good Woman? And then we'll move on to your inspiration for Amarula.
I wrote Good Woman for my ex.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There was someone I was dating at that point, and there's something that triggered that moment. And I pretty much wrote it for her because at that point we were going through so much, and you expect someone to look at you a certain type of way. Then she just came and just said, well, I understand, don't worry, I'm here for you. And for me, that was really just compelling. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about their exes because we want to demonize certain people, but at some point we all have people that helped us become who we are. And in as much as we respect their private life and where they are in society and we've moved on, for me, I feel it's always important to give gratitude to those that were there and helped you, shaped you to be a better person. So at that point, of course, I was in a relationship with this person and I'd written the song for that person. Okay. So yeah, that was the inspiration.
Just to appreciate her.
Yeah, to just appreciate the person. I'm not with the person. We don't talk. I don't meet the person, but yeah. It is what it is. Amarula was inspired by a visit to a certain party, and there was a man who was high on his own supply, which is Amarula. And this man was really hitting on somebody else's woman, and he kept telling her, no, let's just go, we can party till 5 a.m, this and that. So at that point, there was this sound from Ghana, that had come out, and I really wanted to jump on something very, very different. So when I made the beat, I was looking for what to sing. So the first thing that I had, and this is just the truth, was just Amarula. There's nothing else, just Amarula. So now I wanted to find words to fit in between that would create a storyline. And that's when I thought, okay, why, if I'm not talking about the alcoholic beverage itself, how can I fuse the two? So being a poet that I am, I decided to poetically create a story about someone who I would define as Amarula. So skin tone, like Amarula, smooth and clean, like Amarula, this and that. So it was more of it's like Amarula is a poetic song and a dirty song at the same time. It's just that you guys don't know.
Okay, now I heard it.
You didn't know it was a dirty song?
Well, I've never thought of it that way.
Listen to it properly. There are a lot of things that I say that you guys think like, okay, what is? But if you listen to it again, you'll be like, okay, what does it say?
What does it say?
It's a little naughty.
But I'm told that you were almost getting into a very lucrative deal over that song. Yeah. Until maybe some lyrics in there, sort of like came into in the way of everything. Yes. Do you want to run us through that?
Yeah, so we had been in talks with, of course, the people that were distributing and producing or producing the beverage itself. And we really started off pretty well. We made positive strides. We met a couple of times. They followed me in Tanzania. I had a show in Mwanza, and they flew to Mwanza.
I worked in Mwanza at some
point. Oh, yeah? Beautiful place. Yeah. So went to Mwanza, and they followed me. My manager was like, well, there's some people that have flown in that they want to have a meeting with us. So we had a very fruitful meeting. We discussed finances and modalities and all those things. Then it was followed up with another meeting where we now discussed how many countries they wanted me to tour with activations and Amarula parties in all those countries. So I was supposed to visit every country on the African continent that sells and distributes Amarula. That was the arrangement. And for each one of those parties, they're going to pay me handsomely, and then they also wanted to now get to push the song even further. So it was a very good deal. So whilst we were busy concluding and we were good, okay, everybody good. Then one day my manager calls me because he was in South Africa. He's like, bro, I think we've got an issue, but I think we can resolve it. I'm like, oh, what's up? He says, are we able to change the line "gives me hangover" in the song? I'm like, yeah, we can. I can do that. So I went in studio and I changed it. Then we sent the song. Then I said, okay, sounds perfect. Then I said, okay, can you now make sure that you pull down the song from every single site and everywhere it is and redistribute the song. I was like, whoa, that's gonna be difficult.
It's hard.
Yeah, that's gonna be
People
difficult.
have downloaded the song.
Yeah, so I was like, on my YouTube, we can definitely do that in a flash. You know, we can literally upload the new version. But to go and tell everybody, say, don't play that version, play this version, this and that, might be a bit tricky. We can try, but it might be tricky. And then, yeah, the conversation started to dwindle a little bit. And then they said, okay, cool, would still be interested in getting to work with you in the near future. But for now, because of the line gives me hangover, I don't think we can make it work. So that's how the deal, just like that.
Wow.
Yeah, but we kind of like just revisited the idea, and we've had very good relations, you know, and we've done some other works away from the song itself, but just getting to do all these partnership deals and that sort of thing. So very good people, and still looking forward to working with them.
Now tell me, these two songs, what did you do right for them to become global hits? I ask this because a lot of most of the artists that are starting out, you know, are sort of like just shooting in the dark. Maybe because they don't know what to do. Like, is there anything you did deliberately?
I tried something new. I tried something new for the Zambian market, and I tapped into a sound that was getting to grow on people globally. And I've been a prayerful person all my life, so I just can't say, well, it was just by luck, but it was God's blessings. Because, you know, when you come from a prayerful family, people that pray for you, most of the times when I'm releasing stuff, I always want to pray for my music, because you do not know where it's going to go. So it just so happens that, you know, everything aligned that way. At that point, a lot of websites from West Africa were starting to mushroom. And I had very good relations with a lot of those guys. So one of the websites that really pushed that song was a website called Not Just Okay. So if you want to be on their banner and, you know, like on the open page, you have to pay a certain amount. But then they had placed me there without even me knowing that that placed Amarula on their opening page. So Amarula was on the opening page for a very long time. Initially, they said I think it was going to be there for 3 days, but I think it was there for 2 weeks. And Not Just Okay at that point was the biggest website out of Nigeria. So I had that, you know, at my disposal. There was a lot going on. Certain people that I'd met in the industry that were pushing the song, and the song itself was just good. So people were. It was easy for people to vibe to the song.
It was also selling itself.
Yes. So I didn't really have to oil anyone's hands as per se. It was really just a good song that was just growing by itself.
What do you think of music then, back in the day, and music now? And are you also changing with time?
I've been
With the new
changing.
album?
I have been changing along the way. The difference right now with music, the music industry, is all you need is money to make it. You just need a good budget, and whatever it is that you have that you want to sing might become a hit, because people are buying them their way to stardom, you know. If you go back to the days of, even say, let's take it way back to the days of Pongozi, to the days of Daddy Zimas, to the days of MC Wabwino, days of Black Moon 2, and all these guys, Mainza, Chameleon, Danny, and all these guys, you just needed to have a good song. You know, you have a good song and you're good. Even right now, there are artists that have got very good songs, but they just don't have the money to promote the songs, because everything has become so monetary driven. If I have a budget of 30,000 kwacha, I can literally have a lot of people singing to my songs. So it's almost like we've moved away from appreciating good music. It's about what are we being fed? What are we seeing the most on our feed? That's what will trend. So even if the song doesn't make sense or this and that, people will vibe to it because you're saying it right there. And a lot of artists have realized that you don't really need to be talented as per se, but so long as you've got someone to sponsor you and help you somewhere, yeah, you can make it.
You can make it.
Yeah.
Just before we take a break, I wanted to ask about your inspiration behind Beautiful. I must confess, that's my favorite Roberto song.
Really? Wow.
On almost each playlist I've got, that song is there.
It's there. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. What's the inspiration? I'm now being a bit selfish. I just want to know what your inspiration is behind this song.
Ooh, that song, I would say, big shout out to Kidman. Kidman was the man behind that song. And when It was brought to me. I was like, okay, this is a brilliant song. So I don't want to take away his idea, but what I do know is that he wanted to create something that really just appreciates someone out there, regardless of how they look, backgrounds. We have people that have different body shapes, different skin tones and that sort of thing. And we felt it was important for us to embody everybody, give them a song that really makes them feel good about themselves. So for me, I always like to poetically add certain elements to a song that, would make someone think like, okay, what's that? So I'll catch a grenade for you. That's poetry.
Yeah.
I'll go on a train for you or something like that. So all those things are things that we just wanted to add on as elements to the song just to make it a little more poetic. But it's really just meant to give someone out there the confidence that you are beautiful no matter how you look or how society sees you. So long as you feel it inside, that's the song for you.
On today's episode, we're talking to the superstar, Roberto. We'll be right back. You are still watching the Kenny T One-on-One podcast. My guest today is the superstar, Roberto. Let's speak about your new album, Born to Win.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things you're telling in this album, a lot of stories and stuff like that. What are some of the things that you would like us to talk about in terms of some issues you've raised and so forth? We've got a couple of them written down, but maybe let me start with you first talking about it, and then I'll remind you on certain points to highlight one or two things.
Oh man, Born to Win. Well, the album, I started recording it, a while back. But as I was pretty much just like getting to draw closer to completing it, that's when I felt it was very important for me to be truthful with myself first.
Okay.
Because a lot, like when you're in an industry like this, a lot happens, people say certain things. And for me, I'm not the vocal person. I don't like to go on social media and start confronting people, calling people names. I wanted to use a platform that I'm confident with, where I'm comfortable, and that's my music. So whilst people are listening, they can actually get to hear my side of the story. And a lot has been said about me, from industry peers, a lot of misconceptions. I've heard a lot. I've heard, oh, Roberto is expensive. Am I?
Are you expensive?
Am I?
I don't know. You're about to jump on a plane to go to South Africa now, on average.
Well, I mean, if I can afford to do certain things, it simply means I'm living within my means. So if I'm going to charge you a certain amount, it simply means I'm telling you how much I charge, right? So if I do not fit within your budget bracket, then you can move on to somebody else. It's the same thing. If today I wanted to go and buy a Lamborghini, right, and I can't afford it, well, I can't afford it. I'm going to buy a vehicle that fits the budget that I have. So if you've got 200,000 kwacha, you're going to buy a vehicle worth 200,000 kwacha. So if you've got 3,000 kwacha and Roberto is charging 30,000 kwacha, you can't go around saying, it's too expensive. No, you don't have the money to hire me. That's just the way it is. So people always want to run to demonize certain people and make you look a certain type of way because they can't afford. You know what I mean? It's the same principle with certain men. If you can't afford a certain girl and she dumps you, you start calling her names. No, she's a prostitute. She's what? No, dude. You don't have the money to facilitate for her upkeep. Simple, straightforward. Move on to someone within your range. It's like that. So for me, it's the same thing. If you can't afford me at my price, it doesn't mean that you will never afford me ever. You can still work around. We can still work around something that works within your budget, and that's the way it is.
Your industry.
Yeah. Too much. Fake love. There's a lot of fake love in this industry. The Zambian music industry is comprised of a lot of fake love.
When did you realize this?
I think when Amarula kind of like just started peaking. Yeah. That's when I noticed that people felt entitled to whatever it is that I was achieving. People would criticize me just for going to buy shoes with the very own money that I worked for. You know what I mean? And then you realize, like, so why should you be upset at me buying a certain pair of shoe? How is it affecting your life? Why would you hate on me for something like that? And then I had, for example, do you know that at some point Amarula was rejected, the video itself, on certain TV stations?
Why?
They said it didn't meet the standard.
What standard? In terms of quality, popularity?
I don't know. but it was rejected on certain TV stations. Then when the song started, playing, and then the video started playing on certain channels, of course, like, I'm equally human. If, for example, you are progressing somewhere, I would gladly come to you and say, Bro Kenny, where you are right now, I would like my music video to play on that platform, right? So if I'm going to come and ask you to say, I'm kindly asking for a contact number for this TV station, and you give it to me, I need to make sure I meet the standards that the TV station is asking or requesting, correct?
Absolutely.
So if I send my music video and it's below standard, I can't come back and blame you to say, why is my video not playing? And unfortunately, I'm going to mention this artist's name because he pretty much started this whole campaign back in the days, and I feel like it's very important. I mean, I've respected this guy for a long time. I found him in the industry. He would move with my brother. At the time that I was in Kawe, before, Roberto became the Roberto, he used to pass through Kawe with my brother, and I've respected him, and I still respect him to date. But if there's one thing that I feel he was so wrong in how he handled it, is Rough Kid. Rough Kid decided to go around and say, oh no, Roberto is very greedy, he doesn't share email addresses. No, I don't give out email addresses. The email address for certain channels are right there on their website. For me to submit my music videos, I follow the right procedure. I go through the specs that they ask for. What frame rate do they need this? What format do they need the videos? This and that. And by the way, there's different TV stations have got different formats in which they want the music videos. Others want them in MOV, others want them in MPEG. So it differs with certain TV stations. So you can't go around busy blaming someone, say, no, he doesn't give out email addresses. The email addresses are there. And, he championed that whole thing, and everybody's like, no, Roberto is very greedy. No. How many of these very same Zambian artists ever approached me? If you've ever said that Roberto was greedy, how many of you have ever come to me and say, Roberto, I'm kindly asking for this? They don't.
So but they run.
It is. Look, the thing is, every artist out there wants to make it, and they want to reach a certain pinnacle. It's a desire for every artist. Everybody wants to reach a certain level of pinnacle, or a certain level of appreciation for their music and that sort of thing. So if you are going to be out there as an artist, you need to make sure that you also do your research. So if you've got an email for somebody, it doesn't hurt someone just giving out that email. A lot of the artists nowadays that are talking about streaming platforms, whoever it is that taught you, ask them who taught them. Because I was getting the backlash when I said that I don't want my music on certain blogs for free, because I noticed I can actually make money. Even the time that I said I think there's a page on YouTube called Z Beats. They used to upload a lot of Zambian music. To date, if you go back, you find a lot of music from back in the days that's still on that page. And they were doing an amazing job, getting to promote the music. But then I realized I needed to grow my numbers, because someone told me that you can actually make money off your YouTube. So I decided I want my music videos on my channel alone. Don't post them anywhere else. Still, people are like, no, he's become big-headed, this and that, ambokuzimvera, this and that. But look at things today. We're all celebrating when someone hits 100,000 subscribers because you get your plaque. So all these things, at some point, people looked at me a certain type of way. But unfortunately, people still look at me that type of way. People still say, oh, no, Roberto is expensive. No. There's a certain gospel artist that is more expensive than I am. But people don't look at him that way. He's more expensive than I am. He charges more than I do. But people still want to look at Roberto and say, no, Roberto, this and that. No. If anything, I want to challenge somebody. If ever someone has ever said, let's hire Roberto, and that person said Roberto is expensive, ask them to call me in your presence. Let's see who's telling the truth. Because a lot of people have been lying about so many things because they want to make me look a certain type of way. And it's really so interesting how the industry is,
Yeah. But also, expensive is relative, really.
Of course,
what's expensive for me may not be expensive for you.
That's why I gave the example to say we all have certain budgets for what we want to do, and you need to look at the business the way it is, right? I can't expect someone who is having a festival to have a similar budget as someone who's got a bar in Suwilanji. Two different scenarios, two different places. I can't charge someone 100,000 kwacha who's got a bar in Suwilanji. I mean, this is someone who's pushing, day in, day out. Then you have someone who's bringing in 5 artists from out of the country. That's different. So we also look at all those factors. That's how come every time someone wants to hire me, we always ask, where is your event? How many people are you expecting? Because we need to know how we should charge you. So just don't say, no, Roberto is expensive. No, have you asked management? And that's the thing. That's why I'm saying this is a challenge. If you're watching this and you know someone who's told you Roberto is expensive, go back to them, ask them to call me in your presence. Let's hear that conversation.
Great. I want to bring you back to your song,
Yeah.
Born to Win. You talk about personal struggles, being born lifeless with asthma. Do you want to talk about that? What exactly is that about?
Well, it's something that I've decided to kind of like just touch lately because I feel it's important to let people know, my side of, my side of my story, because I'm not the type of person that posts personal stuff. I don't go about posting my personal stuff on social media. And sometimes it's easy for people to lie about someone because you don't usually speak. And for people like myself, it's very easy for someone to create a story because someone else might not have the opportunity to come and ask me directly, say, oh, is this true? So when it comes to issues of how I was born, I was told very early in my, teenage years about what transpired between my mom and my dad and the likes. But certain details of what happened before I was even born, I was only told this not too long ago, a couple of years back. And to date, I'm still getting certain information. And more especially when I released the song Born to Win, it brought about a bit of talk between family members, this and that. How can you say this about your dad? Look, I made my peace with my dad. He came and apologized for neglecting me. He didn't want me. He had wanted my mom to abort, so I don't really exist. But here I am, and I feel like everything that I've done so far has been for a particular reason. And for me to even reach where I am today is because God had a plan for me, and God still has a plan for me. So I wanted to talk about individuals out there who may feel the same way or may have gone through the same, just to say, look, if you feel like you've been rejected, there's life, waiting on the other side. And there could be certain females out there who have men that have just abandoned them. They fall pregnant and then people abandon them. So how do you motivate someone like that? And I thought it was important for me to share my side of the story so that people out there, they know that, okay, look, it's okay to be born in such an environment but still make the most out of what God has laid in front of you. You've got family, you've got friends, you've got God. You can still make it in life.
Absolutely. One aspect that you haven't touched on is the issue of asthma. Do you struggle with it from birth?
Yeah, so the asthma came in when I was very, very young, just a few months old, and it's pretty much what delayed me studying school.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time alone, and that's why even today I'm okay with being alone in certain spaces because I'm used to that. If anything, that's where I find my peace. Like when I'm alone, I think, I meditate, and that sort of thing. Not to say that I don't like being around people, but it's something that I'm used to. But as I've been growing, asthma has been fading. And I'm really thankful to God that I'm able to do what I love to do, because there were a lot of fears back then, like, you can't play sports, you can't sing, you can't go out, this and that, you can't be in places where there's smoke and the likes. But I'm really grateful that I'm able to do what I love even under certain harsh conditions, and I just know how to manage it.
Great. I'm sure somebody out there that has the same struggles, is watching, and it's given them some fuel to move forward. I want to speak about some of the things that happen in the industry. I mean, you said there's a lot of jealousy, there's a lot of beef. Have you ever addressed any beef in a song with any artist? And which song is this?
Yeah, there's a song called Ninamvera, and I did that song. I did that song on purpose because, like I said, it's important for people to be honest with themselves and honest with each other. I do not want to go out there and I'm meeting people that are smiling at me and, they're showing me fake love when behind my back, they're saying certain things. And I know certain artists that have said a lot of horrible things. I know certain artists that have orchestrated certain things behind my back. I know certain artist managers that have been fighting so hard to make sure that I don't get certain deals. I know there's certain artists that are out there that really do not want to see the Roberto brand go anywhere. But the truth is, we all have our destiny. You shielding another artist does not make your light shine brighter. It doesn't. And that's just the truth. We are all destined for greatness, and if you know that you are in this industry, you've hustled your way, you've made it the way you've made it so far, I'm equally doing the same. So you casting a certain dark light on my destiny, my future, will not make your light brighter. That's just the truth, you know. So let's desist from that. It's total BS. For me, like these days, I just want to be very honest and very candid. It's total BS. If you came in the industry after me, we need to be able to guide you, mold you, and just let you know these are some of the things that you can. I'm not in competition with you. If you found me in the industry, you're not in competition with me. I'm not in competition with you. You are in competition with your peers. For me, I'm just doing my own thing.
Great. Let's talk about brotherhood music.
Yeah.
I'm told, this idea is between yourself and your brother Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
How is that? Who birthed this idea, and where are we with brotherhood music?
So General Ozzy is the person behind Brotherhood.
Okay.
If anything, the name itself, he pretty much came up with that name, and it's been interesting how we designed a way to help build artists that have not had certain opportunities and privileges.
Mm-hmm.
So Brotherhood for us was really just to create a platform for artists out there that feel they might not have an opportunity to be elsewhere or to be somewhere, and because of the struggles that we went through. So at times we just tap into talent and just help certain artists. You might not necessarily sign a contract with us, but we just like to help artists, just develop when they reach a certain level and they're able to do what they want to do. So mainly Brotherhood is like that. It's like a springboard for emerging artists and that sort of thing.
Great. Under brotherhood music,
Yeah.
Which artists have you sort of like worked with
So
that are notable today?
I would say most notable would be Manas.
Okay.
Yeah, Manas was like our biggest artist on the stable, and most recently we signed 2 new artists. There's a male, his name is Cairo Keys, and there's a female, her name is Larius. So Larius is from Kafue, Cairo Keys is from Solwezi, but they're here in Osaka now, and yeah, those are the 2 artists that we're working with right now.
One important question.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes on when you're in the limelight, especially in the music industry, and there's a lot of false narratives, false stories, and all of that. How do you personally handle those?
I think I've just developed a very thick skin. Have you seen my skin? Have you seen my skin?
Thick, huh?
Yes. Well, look, the thing is, the reality is you can't please everybody. You'll never satisfy everybody. You'll never be a people's favorite for everybody. Even the president himself faces backlash day in and day out. If anything, I don't think I ever want to be a president, because I can only imagine some of the stress that presidents across the world face. And when you're a public figure like that, there's a lot that people will say. Even just being quiet, someone will take it a certain type of way. For me, I've been a very laid-back type of person. I don't like, confrontations, but people will still find that as an issue.
Still a problem.
You go somewhere and you sit in your corner, stay quiet, someone's gonna say, he's pompous. If you are outspoken, they'll be like, he's full of himself. So whatever it is that you do, someone will still want to say something about it. And you really just need to strike a balance between the two and just say, look, this is who I am and this is what I want to do. Because once you start pleasing people, you lose your own direction and you lose your own identity. So what I've just realized lately is it's important for you to be upfront. It's important for you to be honest with yourself and honest with the people. That's why these days I speak the way I speak, because I'm now looking out for my own personal integrity and not really care much about what other people think about me.
Great. For that artist that is watching this interview right now, especially the upcoming ones, what message, inspiring word would you give them? That I know it gets hard, and there's a lot of them that give up.
Yep.
You're a successful artist. You're an international artist, and even when we're sitting and we're looking for someone to come on the show, it wasn't difficult to pick your name. So what would you say to them to encourage them, to give them that fuel they need to get to where you are?
Okay, so the thing is, in life, it may take a while for you to reach even just a startup where you feel like now you've arrived. And sometimes we give up before we even reach that level. There are some that, hit that milestone just with 1 song or 2 songs. There are artists, it's taken them albums after albums before they could before they could actually become a big thing. So patience is important, putting God first is important, respecting people around you is very important, but more importantly, be you, be yourself. Because like I said earlier on, once you start pleasing other people, you start changing your personality to please other people, you lose your own personal identity. But the music industry is very good business. It can change your life, it can change lives for people around you. And it's important just once you have the right team with you, the right advisors, they help you with just the direction that you want to take. So just keep working, keep pushing, and keep releasing content and music out there.
So Roberto, I know that you have a particular album where you, I think only, I stand to be corrected, featured East African artists.
Correct.
And if I'm correct, even that album is the only Zambian album that actually, is available on one of the big airlines. Mm-hmm. Could you talk about that?
Yeah. So the album is called Journey to the East, and it features artists from East Africa. And we were privileged and fortunate enough to work with Ethiopian Airlines, and they listed the album on the.
I was avoiding to advertise them on the show, but go ahead, you've done it.
Yeah, so the album was on the airline for a year, and for me that was really just monumental, because then it kind of like showed you that we can do some of the things that seem to be impossible. And the idea just was birthed when I was flying. I can't remember. I think I was going to Finland, if I'm not mistaken, and I found this DJ's mix of African music, and it was the only thing that was African related. It was a different airline though, and I thought to myself, why don't we have other music from Africa? So I wrote to a couple of airlines, and this particular one responded and said, yeah, we're definitely interested in getting to listen to the album. So we sent it to them, they listened to it, and placed it on their in-flight service. So yeah, very, 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 very great moment. I know my music is also on other airlines, but not to advertise them, I'll not mention them. But yeah, some global airlines out there.
Great.
Yeah.
Roberto, we're going to wind up our discussion with you picking one question from the 3 questions that I have. So you pick a number from 1 to 3. We'll ask the question. This question is for the next guest.
Okay.
After we ask the question, we're going to wrap it up with you answering the question the previous guest asked you.
Ooh, okay.
Great.
Because I like being number 1, so I'll go for number 1.
Number 1.
Yeah.
What talent do you have that would surprise most people? It's a very interesting question, because sometimes you know so much about people and yet you don't know some very intricate things or some unique things about them. Yeah? So we'll hear that question, we'll hear the answer in the next episode. So your question that was asked by Chanda Brian to you is, if your life had a soundtrack, what song would you play every time you walked into a room?
Ooh. What's wrong with Chanda Brian? What's wrong with him? I thought he was my brother.
He's picked something musical though.
What soundtrack? Oof. I'm a lover of 80s and 90s music, so it would definitely be something from that era. I'm just trying to think of a song. Hello, can you stop singing?
Stop giving clues, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I think it must have been Love.
By
what's the name of that group? It must have
but
been
I know
love,
it. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Is it Roxette?
Roxette, yes. Roxette or Roxanne? Roxette, yeah. There's a certain level of emotional attachment that song has, because it's one of the few songs that whenever I was alone would play a lot on radio, and it made me really look at life a certain type of way, and if at all I would make it. And my life has been a blessing, to be honest with you, that on so many occasions I never thought I would see the following year, so for me, each year, whenever I cross over, transition into the next year, I'm always very grateful to God, because on so many occasions I could not have seen the light of day, but God granted me that opportunity to be alive, and I don't think I'll ever stop being grateful to God for giving me this life and being able to do what I love to do. So when I hear that song, it just reminds me of some of the hardships that I've been through.
You've been watching the Kenny T one-on-one podcast. Our guest today has been Roberto, the superstar. It's been an interesting conversation. DOP kept on winding us down, but here we are. Thanks a lot, Roberto, for your time and everything. I know you've got a flight to catch. I hope we didn't delay you in any way. And good luck with your new project.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and super glad to have had this moment to chat with you. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.